Welcome. Let's get started in our chairs. So having your feet flat on the floor, you might be sitting slightly away from the back of the chair. Rest your hands into your lap, palms up or down, whichever feels most comfortable for you. And without trying to sort of pull the spine really long, just see if you can inflate your upper body a little bit to feel just slightly more lifted or lighter in your upper body as you sit here. Gazing straight ahead. So not yet closing the eyes, but gazing straight ahead and just notice, take in consciously what it is your eyes are looking at. It might be just a blank wall, there might be some detail, but take in whatever your eyes are looking at here. And with the eyes still open and still aware of what information, what detail your eyes are looking at, start to also notice your breath. And you may be breathing in and out through your nose, or you may be using your mouth, whatever is working for you right now. Just again, notice without making any sort of judgment or critique on what you're noticing. Just noticing your eyes and they're looking at, noticing your breath moving. And we're going to add to this as well. So you're noticing what your eyes are looking at, you're noticing your breath moving. And now see if you can notice the sensation of your hips on the chair. So the weight of your hips on the chair, can you feel that now, as well as feeling or noticing your breath, and then really being conscious of what your eyes are looking at? Yeah, and then maybe if it's comfortable for you, you could softly close the eyes. You might continue to see a little bit of like a reflection or a remnant of whatever it was you were looking at. Sometimes that happens when we're gazing intently. So as the eyes close, that will start to fade away. And then start to direct your breath in and out through your nose if you can. Now, of course, if you're congested at all in the nose, you can continue to breathe through your mouth if you need. But if possible, start to breathe in and out through the nose. And still with a little bit of that awareness on the hips on the chair, begin to tick tock your upper body just within a small range here, forward and back. So it's a little bit of a leaning forward, a little bit of a leaning back. And what you're paying attention to here is the shifting weight, the rocking weight on the hips. You rock the weight sort of forward, maybe to the top of the thighs, and then you rock the weight back to the back of the hips, maybe to the tailbone. Now be gentle with yourself. If there's any pain or injury along there, don't go so big. And this isn't a huge rocking. We're not like swinging forward or back. It's just a little rocking forward and back to feel that shift of weight. And then try to find now the centered position. So where there's a equal amount of weight forward in the maybe tops of the thighs and an equal amount of weight in the back. So there's sort of a balanced distribution of that pressure or weight in the base of the hips. And once you've found that centered place for yourself, take a really deep breath in now through the nose. Pause at the top of that inhale. So you're really full, you're holding full here. You're letting all of that oxygen sort of drench the cells in your body. Maybe even take in just a little bit more now. And slowly let that breath seep out the mouth. Let it just cascade out the mouth. Let's do that again. Inhaling through the nose filling up right up to the top. Pausing full, feeling full, maybe even taking in a little bit more air here, and then letting it flow out the mouth. Good. One more like this. Inhale through the nose. Notice if you're feeling like you want to fidget around a little bit or move. It's okay. Just notice. But see if you can stay relatively still, filling right to the top there, maybe even taking in a little bit more air. Good. Letting it go now out the mouth. Once again, closing the mouth and breathing in and out through your nose. Softening the belly and starting to establish our yogic breath. So you may bring your hands onto your belly, or you may keep them resting on your thighs, but starting to let the belly move with your breath. Softening the shoulders away from the ears. Creating a balanced inhale and exhale. So where your inhales now and your exhales are about the same length, and they're sort of hovering around your capacity for breath. So you're not really working to breathe in or to exhale, but you are coming to about your edge there. You're inhaling about as full as you can, and you're exhaling about as full as you can. Good. Then let's start to warm the body up. We'll start from the top and work our way down. So starting with the neck and head, we're going to gently let the chin come towards the chest. Now be mindful of your neck here. You might not let the head come all the way down, and that's okay. Then you take the chin up, and again, you might not lift the chin all the way up, and that's okay too. Just being mindful of what the needs are for your spine today, and letting the chin come down and up and then down and up. And notice the sense or feelings that are coming in around the movement. If there's a sense of urgency or rushing or a sense of resistance, and just see if you can find a nice calming rhythm of motion here. And let's bring the head now to center. So you're gazing straight forward. And we're going to turn the head towards the right. Again, just going as far as is comfortable. Then bring the head back into center and turn towards the left and back into center and towards the right and center. And we're going to continue like this, turning from side to side. Good. Now we're going to work a little bit with the optics of the eye. So the movement of the eye with the movement of the head here. So this is actually can be very helpful for creating a sense of wholeness in the brain, a sense of calmness in the brain. So with the head facing forward and the eyes facing forward. So eyes are open now. Once again, you're going to find that little something you were looking at the beginning of practice here and start to fix your gaze on that point, beginning to turn your head towards the right. So the head is turning, but the eyes are not moving. It's challenging. And you're only going as far to the right as the neck allows, and the head can turn without the eyes moving. And we're going to hold there, wherever that is for you. Hold and breathe there. Soften those shoulders. Stay floated lightly in the upper body. It's okay to blink if you need to blink. Good. Then slowly, keeping the eyes fixed on that one point, bring the head back into center. Good. Maybe you close your eyes for a moment, blink them a few times. Good. And then find that fixed point again. So one single point that your eyes can really lock into. We call this the drishti, the point of focus for the eyes, the drishti. So holding your drishti, you're going to then start to turn the head to the left without letting those eyes move with the head. So go slow here. I promise you, rushing is not your friend. Speed here is not your friend. You want to stay nice and slow and aware of, how the eyes are behaving. And you just stop to that little, you can feel that little bit of tension come in where you're like, oh, if I go too much further, my eyes are going to want to come with me. So just pause there, hold and breathe there, softening the shoulders. This is so good to do with the eyes, so good to do for the muscles of the eyes and the face. Good, let's slowly bring the head back into center, keeping the eyes locked on that point. Really nice. So we're very nice. So you can kind of blink your eyes again, relax them here. And now we're going to bring awareness into the tip of the nose. And sometimes I find it helpful to even like rub the tip of the nose. So that helps wake up that sensitivity there. And we're going to imagine the tip of the nose like a little felt marker. We're going to start to draw tiny little circles right in front with the tip of the nose. Now, what I've noticed sometimes when we're working like this with the nose, we start to lean forward. So keep that balanced weight in the hips, sitting up tall, floating up through the upper body as you draw these little circles directly in front of you. They're tiny, tiny little circles. They might be even so small that if I was to watch you, I couldn't even see your head move. That's okay. You're just drawing little circles with the nose. And we're massaging here a little bit of the space at the base of the skull where the neck and the head meet, right at the back there. We're just massaging some of those really hard working muscles in there. And you might start to let now this circle become a little bit bigger. Again, take your time. You might let the circle become even bigger. And even bigger. And even bigger. So just going to where it feels okay for you. Some of you might start doing some more neck and head rolls, but stay attentive to the feeling and movement of the nose. Good. Keeping those big circles going. Reverse the action now. Draw that circle in the opposite direction. Good. And then starting to reduce the size of the circle, little bit at a time. Starting to reduce the size of the circle. Little bit at a time. The circle will get smaller and smaller until once again you're facing straight forward and the circle might be so small that I can't even tell that your head is moving. And then pause the movement of the head, close the eyes and take a really deep breath in. Now, sometimes with all of that motion, there might be a little lightheadedness, a little dizziness. You're welcome to keep your eyes open. Sometimes folding forward even is helpful if there's a bit of dizziness. So take your time here. You don't have to go anywhere that's not comfortable for you. If it's available to you, you could close your eyes. Let's take another deep breath in, deep breath out. Another deep breath in, deep breath out. Good. Open the eyes again. This time, as you take that deep breath in, take the shoulders up, back, and down. Exhaling as the shoulders come down and roll forward. Inhale, shoulders come up and back. Exhaling, down and forward. Good. Inhaling. Exhaling. Just moving your shoulders here. So try to not get the head in the motion here. Just isolated movement in the shoulders. Yeah, try moving the shoulders the other way, going back in the other direction. Good. Maybe now try moving the shoulders independently of each other, just starting to explore some different motions in the upper back, exploring motions in the shoulders. Good. Then take both shoulders again up towards the ears, glide them back, and now let them just settle down the back. Okay, we're going to guide now, same motions, but from the elbows. So we're going to take the elbows up, back, and down, taking them in and forward, up, out, back, and down, in and forward. So guiding from the elbows, up, out, and back, then down, in, and forward. And again, up, out, and back, down, in, and forward. And then the other way, we're going to keep them in, go back, out, and up, forward, in, and down. So back, out, and up, forward, in, and down. So we are moving the elbows, and we're actually causing motion again in the shoulders, a little bit of a bigger motion. So be attentive to what's appropriate for your shoulders. Good. As the elbows come down, let the hands go back, and you might hold on here to the sides of the back of your chair. Now, if reaching back like that is not available for you, it's fine. Keep your hands on your hips. That's fine too. On your next inhale breath, you're going to lift the chest up, lift the chin up again, press into your hands if you have a hold of the chair, and look up. Keep your breath moving as we hold here, opening through the front of the body. Then keeping your hands where they are, slowly drop the chin down, let the shoulders round forward, hug the belly in, rounding the back again, go only to where it's appropriate for you. So if you do have any injuries or osteoporosis in the spine, you may not be curling in, and that's okay. Stay seated as tall as you can. Work the length in the spine. All right, let's go back and forth like this now. Inhaling, lifting up, looking up. Inhaling, curling in and down. Inhaling, coming up. Inhaling, down and in. A few more times. Inhaling. 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 Exhaling. One more time like this with the spine. Inhaling up. Exhaling, curling down and in. Then gentle inhale back into center. Release your arms to your sides, sitting in Tadasana. Palms forward, shoulders back. Again, feeling a lightness, a floating of the upper body away from the hips. Good. We're going to take the hands now and turn them into the sides of the body and do a little bit of work on the sides of the spine. So again, depending on what's going on in your spine, you might do these side curls, you might not. You might work instead to get a little bit taller instead of going down to the side. It depends on what's going on in your spine. So we're going to start first on the right side, and we're going to start to reach the right hand down towards the ground on the right, letting the left arm just hang as we curve the spine over. Now notice how we're putting more weight here in the right hip. As we do, you could even put your left hand on your left hip to help weight that left hip down. Good, then use an inhale breath to help lift back up into center. Left arm is hanging down beside you. Right hand might come onto the right hip here as you start to curve down to the left. It's as though you're reaching towards the floor, but we're not sacrificing the stability of the hips. Keep that right hip down. Good, let's inhale back up into center, and again, going over to the right. So left hand on the hip, right hand down, curving down towards the right. Inhale up into center, left hand down, right hand on the hip, curving over to the left. Beautiful. Back up into center. One more on each side. Going over to the right, reaching down towards the right. Left hand on the left hip. And now lift the chest just a little bit up, a little bit higher, So we're not collapsing so much on the right. And just see how that feels. Beautiful. With an inhale, breath for support. Come back up into center and then switching sides. Exhale to reach down to the left, right hand on the hip. And as you come over to this curve to the left, lift the chest up a little bit higher. Good. Inhale, back up into center and exhale, release both arms again to the sides, coming back into Tadasana. Bringing the hands forward now onto the knees. With your next breath out, you're going to slide the hands down over the knees towards the shins. Being mindful of blood pressure here, keep your head above your heart if you need. Then inhale, glide the hands back up. We're just starting to say hello to those lower back muscles. So let's exhale to fold forward. And inhale to come up. Now, I'm going to ask us to be really attentive because I can't actually be there with you. Watch your head. Don't let your head lead the way. Lead from the chest. So the head stays up as you fold forward. Very nice. And then inhaling, rising back up. Yeah, a few more times. So let it be gentle. Let it be easy as you roll forward and come up. There's no rush. There's no end point here. We're just moving back and forth through the hips, waking up those lower back muscles. Good. Let's just do a couple more. Good. Last one. Coming all the way up. Very nice. From this seated position now, we'll take our first twist. You're going to bring your left hand across to your right thigh. Your right hand can slide up to the right hip or come around behind you, gently twisting towards your right. Notice again in your twist, if you're lightening off that left hip, keep both hips heavy in the chair and float that upper body up and over to the twist. How's that deep yogic breath? Good. Inhale, unwind into center and sweep the arms around the other way. Right hand to the left thigh, left hand behind you. Coming over to the left in your twist. Again, only going to where it feels okay. Keep that right hip down. And inhale, unwind, coming back into center. Once again, Tadasana, sitting tall. Okay, our next sequence of postures here, there's a couple options, so be really attentive to what's appropriate to your body. The first option is to always keep your feet on the floor, and I'll let you know how to move the legs with the feet still touching the ground. The second option is to lift the right leg up and interlace your hands underneath the right thigh. And the third option is to use a strap. So if you have a strap, you could place the strap to start underneath your right thigh if that helps you at all. If you don't need the strap, then you don't have to use the strap. You can put it underneath your thigh. And again, you're welcome to keep your feet on the floor. So from here, whether your leg is lifted or not, make sure that you're sitting again right over the hips so the weight is distributed equally between the front and the back of the hips. And then from here, we're going to slide that right leg out. So we're going to extend the right leg out. So if your foot is on the floor, it's a simple glide of the heel forward, flexing the toes back, and then drawing the foot back to start. Okay, with the leg lifted, we're extending forward and bending. So this is some isolated motion in the knee. Good. Next time you have the right leg extended, let's point and flex the right foot a few times. Get some deliberate motion in the ankle. We can start to draw some circles with that right foot. And then draw some circles the other way. Good. Then flexing that right foot back. If you're sitting, sorry, if you have your leg lifted, bend your knee again. If you have your right foot on the floor, keep the leg straight. From here, we're going to circle that right leg around. So if the leg is lifted, you're supporting it, guiding it around. So you're using the strength of your arms to support the right leg. So the muscles of the hip are relaxed. If your foot is on the floor, you're going to circle the foot around in sort of more of like a oval shape on the floor. But once you've done a few circles, let's say 3 or 4 in one direction, then change directions and create that circle motion the opposite way. Good. Good. Then those of you who have your leg lifted, hug that leg into the belly, and I'll give you an option here. You might open the right knee out to the right and bring that ankle on top of the left thigh. This is just an option. If that is not available to you, no worries at all. Place the right foot on the floor. Good. Then from here, we're going to fold forward. So let's take hands on the hips and slowly start to fold down over the legs. If you have your right ankle on your right thigh, so your left thigh, you want to flex your right foot back a bit towards your knee, keeping some strength and support around the knee as you fold. Now, of course, if you have your leg lifted, you're probably not going to go folding as far as you would if your feet were on the floor. That's fine. We're not looking for depth. We're looking for sensation. If you have your feet on the floor, your hands might come onto your knees. You might fold down to your elbows, or you might bring your hands towards your feet. So just going to where it feels available to you. Being there and breathing there, feeling the sensation, getting a little curious about the sensation. Developing our capacity to be in a little bit of discomfort without having to vacate or distract ourselves, but to simply dissipate the discomfort with some observation, some gentle kindness. Good. Take your time now and come right up to seated. If your right leg was resting on your left leg, you can support your right leg as you glide the foot off, placing that right foot on the floor, coming back to our Tadasana, sitting up tall. Good. We're going to do all that again on the left side. So again, you have your options here. You keep your feet on the floor, or you could lift the left leg up using a strap or not, holding behind the left leg. Wherever you are, though, be attentive to the upper body, especially if you lift the leg, you might want to lean back. Stay right up over the hips. Then let's start to straighten that left leg and bend and straighten. Good. And bend and straighten. Really nice. And bend. And this time, as we straighten that left leg, you can point and flex the foot a few times. So getting into the ankle. And then rotate the foot. Draw some circles. Draw some circles the other way. And then flexing the left foot back towards your face, reach your heel out, and then bend that knee if you're sitting. Sorry, if you have your leg lifted. If you have your foot on the floor, keep the leg straight. And we'll start those circles, starting to circle the left leg. So what we're really doing here is moving the leg around in the hip socket. And again, doing 3 or 4 circles in one direction. And then changing directions, going the other way. And those of you who are lifted, who have lifted the left leg, you have an option here to hug the leg in, open the knee out to the side, and bring that left ankle across to the right thigh. This is just an option, it's not necessary. Otherwise, you have both feet flat on the floor. If your leg is lifted, flex the toes back towards your knee, and wherever you are, float that upper body a little bit taller. Good. Then from here, folding forward. Again, if you have your leg lifted, you may not fold very far. That's fine. Just go to where you start to feel a bit of a stretch. If you have your feet on the floor, you might fold down to your elbows or bring your hands towards your shins or feet. Be mindful of blood pressure here, keeping your head above your heart if you need. and breathing wherever you are. Good. Let's inhale now. Take your time to rise back up. Good. And then if you have your left leg lifted, slide it off gently with support, bringing the foot to the floor, returning to Tadasana, sitting or standing tall. Now, just check out where you are in your chair. If you're sort of quite forward, make sure you're halfway back. You've got a fair bit of chair underneath you, but that your feet are able to be flat on the ground. From here, we're going to sweep the arms forward, keeping them at least shoulder width apart, if not a little bit wider. You might be bringing them up overhead, or you might keep them more in level with the shoulders. Again, whatever is appropriate for the joints in your body. From here, let's press into the feet and start to lighten the weight of the hips on the chair, feeling as an extension right up through the spine towards the ceiling. Now, if you have any concerns for your knees, hips, or low back, you could stay here like this, pressing into the feet, opening up through the spine. If your knees, hips, and low back are feeling okay today, on your next inhale, you're going to lift straight up out of the chair. You're welcome to use your hands if you need to come up. Then let's bend those knees and sit back and down into the chair, back and down. Good. Pressing into those feet, let's rise back up. Bending those knees, go back with the hips, sink them back, 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 back. Keep the knees behind the toes. Good. Pressing again, let's inhale, rise. This time here, we're gonna bend those knees, send the hips back, bending the knees to just before you sit down. Let's all take the arms down then beside us and pause here for a moment. Good, you might place your hands on your hips if that feels a little bit nicer for you, or keep the arms extended. Good. Feel the weight of the hips going back and down, even if you're in the chair. If you're sitting, think of the hips going down. Good. One more breath like this. Then we inhale and rise up. Come right up to a tall seat or stand. Reach the arms up. Big breath in. Exhale, let the arms go. Whew. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, let them go. Whew. Big breath in. Big breath out. Whew. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. Let it all go. Inhale. Whew. Good. Shake those arms out. Give them a good wiggle. Shake the legs out. Shake everything out. Get as wiggly as you can. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Shake. A good shake is really good for the body. Good for the nervous system. Good for the mind. Give it all a loosey-goosey shake. Good job. And then bring everything back together in a Tadasana. Feet hip distance apart. Palms open at the sides. Sitting or standing tall. Gaze is open and straight ahead. And once again, become conscious of whatever your eyes are looking at. Notice what it is that your eyes are taking in. Notice as well now your breathing without trying to change your breath at all. Just notice, how are you breathing here? Staying attentive to whatever the eyes are looking at, staying attentive to how the breath is moving, and now starting to notice if you're sitting, the weight of your hips in your chair, if you're standing, the weight in your feet. And if you're sitting, once again, you're going to start that upper body rock forward and back. If you're standing, the rocking is coming into the feet and it's really small. It's just a little rock to the toes and a little rock back to the heels. You might use your hand on a chair or a wall if you want a bit of support. So you're staying aware of what your eyes are looking at, aware of your breath moving, and of this feeling of rocking, this shifting of weight forward and back, forward and back. Soften the knees if you're standing as well, so you're not taking the rocking in the knees so much. And then find that centered place where the weight is equally distributed to the back of your hips or feet, and towards the front of your hips or toes. Just notice, where is that for you? Good. All right, those who are standing, bring your chair now around to your right side. Turn it so the back of the chair is facing you and you're able to place your right hand on the chair. If you're sitting, stay seated as you are in your Tadasana. Have a quick glance at your toes. Ensure your feet have a bit of space between them and your toes are pointing relatively straight forward. And we're going to all start to press down into the right leg, the leg closest to the chair if you're standing. If you're sitting, also start to root that right hip down a little bit. And then from here, we can lift maybe the left heel, starting there. Watch as you go to lift the left heel that you're not again leaning forward or back. You're staying right in the center. Good. Left hand is open to the side, rooting, really working that right leg. So it doesn't matter if you're standing or sitting. The work is in the right side, the right leg. Then you might float the left foot from the floor. Good. Some of you might bring that left knee forward and up, maybe lifting it level with the hip. For those who are standing, watch that left hip. Sometimes it likes to try to help you out by popping up. Keep that left hip level with the right hip. Good. Then you have the option here to straighten that left leg out a little bit, maybe not. Some of you might take your left arm up. If you're sitting, try lifting that one arm up, maybe lifting both arms up. If you're standing, you might keep a hand on the chair. You might keep a finger on the chair. You might work with lifting that right hand up and off and on the chair. Good. Wherever you are, feel your breath here. Right hand is lifted. Let your right hand come down. Then let your left arm, your left leg down, and return to your Tadasana. Smooth, full breaths. Good. If you're standing, you can take your chair now and move it over to the other side. So you have the back of the chair against the left side of your body. We're all meeting back in Tadasana. If you're standing, the hand can be on the back of the chair, and then activate the muscles. Consciously choose to fire the muscles of your left leg by pressing into that left foot. If you're sitting, you might press just a little bit into the left hip as well, and then lift that upper body, float it up. Then some of you might take your right heel from the floor. Keep working that left leg. You might lift the whole right foot from the floor. Then you might lift the right knee a little bit higher. Watch that right hip. Good. Then you might extend the right leg forward. Some of you might take the right arm up. You might work with the left arm. Some of you might keep that left hand down. That's okay. Wherever you are, be there now. Breathing where you are. If your left hand is lifted, let your left hand come down first. Then let your right arm and your right leg come down. Let's all return to Tadasana. Sitting or standing tall, moving that breath. That breath. Good. If you have your chair, if you're standing, you're going to take the chair here to the top of your mat, turn it so the seat of the chair is facing you, and you're standing just a few inches in front of the chair, and you've got lots of space behind you. If you're sitting, stay seated in your Tadasana, feet flat on the floor, palms open to the side, shoulders back, gaze is forward. Our practice of yoga gives us an opportunity to practice the discipline of the mind, to start to learn how to manage the monkey mind that is very, very human. We don't become sort of at the throes of the monkey mind. We become managers of the mind. Good. From here, in your Tadasana, take your arms forward and up, big breath in, look up, then exhale and fold down. Hands to the knees or to the seat of the chair. As you inhale, lengthen your spine forward, look forward. As you exhale, you're going to take your right foot, if you're standing, and step it back, keeping your right heel on the floor. If you're sitting, keep your left foot where it is, take your right foot straight out, heel on the floor, flex the toes back. Good. All right, those who are standing, your left knee stays bent, your right heel stays on the floor, and then some of you might bring your hands onto your left thigh, if balance feels steady. If you're feeling steady there, you might take your arms right up overhead. Sitting, left foot's flat, right leg's extended, arms up, gaze up. Warrior one, sorry, Virabhadrasana 1. The breath. Beautiful. Release the hands down if they're lifted. If you're standing, bring your hands to the chair, and we're going to step right back up towards the chair, planting the feet on the floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. And then if you're standing, take your left foot back. If you're sitting, take your left leg forward, heel on the ground. If you're standing, keep that right knee bent. Root that left heel down, and everybody gazing forward here. If you're sitting, you might take your arms all the way up overhead. If you're standing, you might bring your hands up onto that right thigh. Steady yourself there before bringing the arms up overhead. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Sitting, find that weight in the hips. That's your root. If you're standing, find it in your feet. Press down. Move your breath. Good job. Good. Let's release the hands now to the chair, or let them come down and step back up into that forward fold. Inhaling the hands onto the back of the chair if you're standing, or placing your hands on your hips if you're sitting, and starting to rise all the way back up, returning to your Tadasana. Good. Let's keep moving here. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, flow down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine out. And then if you're standing, again, take your left foot back this time, left foot back, and straighten that right leg, that front foot, that right leg forward, straighten it out. If you're sitting, keep your left foot where it is, and again, straighten the right leg out, heel on the ground. From here, we're going to fold forward. So those who are sitting, you can place your hands on your hips or onto your leg as you fold down over that right leg. If you're standing, you have your hands on the chair. Press into your right foot and try to draw that right hip back a little bit. That's going to help with length. And maybe you bend your elbows a little. Maybe your elbows come onto the chair. Maybe your forehead comes down. Going to where you start to feel a bit of a stretch. Not pushing past that sensation. It will dissipate on its own when it's ready. So we're not forcing anything. Good. From here, if you're folded forward, take your time to come back up. If you're standing, your hands are on the chair. And we're stepping forward again. We're back into our half forward fold. Feet are parallel. Chest comes forward. And then as you exhale, take the opposite leg out. So if you're sitting, your left leg goes straight now. If you're standing, your right leg goes back. Then you straighten your left leg. Good. Hands on the hips if you're sitting to fold, and then maybe bring them forward onto the legs as you come a little bit deeper. As you're standing, root both feet. Take that left hip back slightly. Then folding down. Maybe going down a little bit onto the elbows if that's available. But being attentive here to what's happening through your body. And not attentive from a sense of fear or apprehension, but more from a place of curiosity, of learning, of loving kindness awareness. Beautiful. If you're folded forward, take your time to make your way back up. And let's come back to that starting position, that half forward fold, feet parallel, hands on the knees or the chair, straighten the spine forward. Then exhale, fold down. Inhale, lifting up halfway, maybe bringing your hands onto the back of the chair. Please take your time to come up. If there's any dizziness or lightheadedness, have a seat, take a moment, let it pass. Once you're up in your full stand or seat, open the palms out to the sides, return to your Tadasana. Move your breath. For those of you who are comfortable coming to the floor, you can use the chair to help bring yourself down onto the ground, coming next to your chair and bringing your chair up, bring your legs up onto the chair. If you're not comfortable coming to the floor, that's absolutely okay. Simply come to sit in your chair. And if you happen to have a second chair close by, or maybe a coffee table or a hassock that you could put your feet up onto, you could grab that and use that. But if you don't, it's okay. Maybe you put a pillow underneath your feet, making sure you're sitting all the way to the back of your chair. Once you have yourself set up, either with your back on the floor and your legs up on the chair or sitting in the chair, bring your hands then onto the belly. Rest the elbows, rest the shoulders. And close the eyes if you can, if that's comfortable for you. Soften the gaze now. Come back into that slightly directed breath, the yogic breath, the balanced inhales and exhales. Beautiful. We're going to take a few rounds now of our Brahmari breath or bumblebee breath. Inhaling naturally through the nose, you'll place your tongue at the roof of your mouth and softly hum with each exhale breath. We'll start together, but then let yourself breathe at your own rate, humming with each exhale. Inhaling through the nose and begin. Let's do 3 more, making them just a little bit stronger now. Last one. Let your tongue drop from the roof of the mouth. Let your natural breath come back in. If you're sitting in the chair and you have your legs up on a second prop, let your feet come down to the floor and then fold down over your legs. Wrap your arms underneath your legs. Give yourself a little hug here. If you're lying on the ground, slide your knees towards your belly. Take a hold of your shins or thighs and squeeze the legs in towards the belly. For those of you lying on the floor, release one arm up along the side of your head so you can roll over onto your side. Press yourself away from the chair and come to lay down onto your back. If you're sitting in the chair, you're welcome to sit now all the way to the back of the chair again, maybe putting a pillow behind your back if that would feel more comfortable. And making sure your feet have some support here so they're not just dangling. If you need to put a pillow or rolled up blanket underneath them, please do. If you're lying on the ground, have your feet on the floor as well and take your feet as wide as a mat or maybe a little bit wider and start to sway your knees from side to side. For those of you sitting in the chair, you're going to take your left hand and bring it across to your right thigh. Take your right hand again to the back of the chair and come back into our seated twist here. Turning towards your right. If you're lying on the floor and you're swaying your knees from side to side, you're going to let both knees fall over to the left. Take your arms out nice and wide and gaze over towards your right. Those of you sitting in the chair, gently unwind your upper body. Take your right hand now across to your left thigh, your left hand around behind you, and come into your twist on the other side. If you're on the floor, keep your arms as you have them. Gently ease the knees back up and let them sway over now towards the right, letting both knees gently fall towards the right. Taking your gaze either towards the ceiling or over towards the left. And those of you sitting in the chair, again, gently unwind yourself. Coming to face forward now, maybe you put a pillow in your lap to rest your arms on, or you drape a blanket over your legs or around your shoulders. Do what you need now to set yourself up for your Savasana. If you're lying on the floor, ease your knees back up into center. Maybe again, you sway the knees from side to side just to gently encourage a release of tension from your hips before maybe straightening the legs out. Maybe placing a bolster underneath your knees, or maybe keeping your knees bent, feet on the floor. Let your arms come down a little closer to the sides of your body, turning your palms up. Let the shoulders start to slide underneath your back a bit more, lengthening the neck, resting the back of the head on the ground or a pillow if you need. And then wherever you are, once again, softly close your eyes. Let go of whatever the eyes may have been looking upon. And now let the eyes rest back into their socket, back into the head. Release any control or effort you may have been exerting on your breathing and let your breath settle now into something that is very natural, very innate, that you're not controlling or managing in any way. Let the body come into an experience of surrender and the mind to come to a place of letting go. letting go of figuring out, of planning, of trying to remember or hold on to. Just for a few moments, let the mind be a little quieter. And we'll rest here now in Savasana, and they'll bring us back in time to close the practice. Where you are, however you are, come back to observing your breath. Come back into your body, feeling your body sitting or lying here. Come back into conscious movement, curious movement, as you wiggle fingers and toes and maybe turn your head from side to side, moving from a kind of loving curiosity about this body, about this mind, about this heart. If you're lying on the floor, you might start to bend your knees now and roll yourself over onto your side. If you're sitting in the chair, you might fold forward for a moment, rest your elbows on your thighs, just to give a little kind of curled in feeling. And then wherever you are, start to make your way now to sit up nice and tall. You could sit on the floor if you like, cross-legged or legs straight out, or you can sit in your chair. Once you've taken your seat, bring your hands together into Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. And once again, float the upper body up a little bit, open it a little bit above the hips. Close the eyes just for a moment to turn back inwards. And bow the head down towards the heart, giving deep gratitude and thankfulness to your body, mind, and heart for not just bringing you to yoga and practicing yoga, but for truly helping to try to guide you through your days. Our bodies, our minds, the emotions that we have are tools given to us to help guide us through our days. We are the managers of these tools. We are the caretakers of these tools. So thank you all so much for coming to practice yoga and to take care of your body, mind, and heart together. Namaste.